I'm here at the GIMA stand with Jenny, the president. How are you, Jenny?
I'm really well, thank you.
Good. How's the show going so far?
It's been great, really good day and very busy for the first day, which we're pleased with.
Fantastic. And so I'm going to crack on firstly by asking you about those 3 million gardeners that were created sort of during that lockdown period. How many of those gardeners do you think remain?
I think a lot of them have remained. I think lockdown created a love of gardening in many different generations of the population that didn't already know or have that love of gardening, and I think that's really important. I think they will stay. They've invested in their gardens, they've spent time and love and energy creating the perfect sort of homestead for them, and I think that will stay. We've seen lots of new generations of people buying products that weren't doing it in pre-COVID times, which is a really great thing for the industry.
Yeah, and do you think we're going to draw in any more? Do you think it will keep rising, or?
I think it will. I think it's a lot of the demand and the excitement that's created around who and what product is put out on there into the market. So the more interesting product that all of us GIMA members put out into the market, the more gardeners we will capture and keep interested in this industry.
So how are your members doing? How's the supply chain in particular impacting them at the moment?
So the supply chain has been tough for the last few years. We've had lots of shortages of materials at one point. We've had shipping issues. A lot of that is starting to level out, but it's still creating pressure. There's still pricing pressure. There's still availability pressure. I think a lot of people this time have a lot of stock, which is, whilst it's creating availability of a good strength, it's also giving supply chain issues surrounding storage and just managing really the expectation of the deliverance of stock that we didn't feel was going to be taken this year.
And how are they doing with inflation?
So inflation is obviously something that affects every single one of the GIMA members in some way, shape or form, whether they are a domestic manufacturer here in the UK or whether they're importing. We're all feeling the same inflationary pressure through raw material, through the production costs. Everybody's dealing with it in their own way, and I guess for them that's got to be relevant to their customer base and their own business, and GIMA are trying to support people through that as best they possibly can with industry best practices and what other people are doing. Prices have definitely risen in the market over the last 2 years. Whether that's stopped now or whether it will continue, who knows. As availability drops, I'm hoping that we will start to see the impact of that on the raw materials. Supply and demand is an obvious, balance that as one drops, hopefully the raw materials may start to level out a little bit, and that prices hopefully won't have to continue to rise, because ultimately that's bad for the consumer, it's bad for volume and bad for all of us. And
when will prices be set for 2023, do you think?
Well, that's the million-dollar question at the moment, and we're all struggling with that if truth be told. It's a little bit early in the season to be nailing down the pricing that's going to be relevant from January. Based on raw material costs still increasing, inflation's predicted to still be higher in the autumn. So it's a challenge for all members. I think it's also up to the members individually as to what their business is prepared to work on and what's right for their customers, as we said earlier.
Yeah. And are there any concerns over overstocking for your members?
Yeah, for sure. All of the members have high stocks at the moment, I would imagine, predominantly driven by the slower than expected demand in the industry. It's not just members that are suffering that, our customers are suffering it, the entire supply chain is suffering the same. We all have to just work together and find the right solution. Nobody wants to be losing profit, putting out volumes into the industry that are unsustainable. I think we've just got to hope that the season finishes in a more reliable shape than it has so far, and that it doesn't hamper the purchases for next year. That, I guess that's one of the major concerns, that cash will be tight and that customers potentially may not look to buy in the same volumes and the same ways they have before. But we can only see how the season pans out, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Time will tell.
Yes,
well, thank you so much for joining us, Jenny, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.